So yes guys, what is going on, and welcome back to another video. As you can see, we have the M4 here at GG Autos, and for the first time in 3 years, this car is sweet. Let me explain. Now, I've had this car for just over 3 years, and the reason why I'm starting at the back is because I've always noticed when the car is turned on, there's either white smoke, or when I rev it after 10 minutes, blue smoke. And now the reason why we're here is because the last time we filmed here at GG Autos here in Southend, we actually fitted brand new DRW 650 turbos to the car. And when Tommy fitted those turbos, he had access to the ports and he noticed that the ports were wet. And that's not a good sign. And if you don't know this engine, it's one of the best engines BMW made after, in my opinion, the S58, talking 6-cylinder here, after the S58 and maybe the B58. Could be a bit biased, but something that is notorious with this engine is turbos and leaks. Whether that's the rocker cover or whether it's the underneath the sump or whether it's the diff seal. Actually, there's loads of stuff to go wrong on the S55. But here in front of us, we're talking today on the valve stem seals. And this is where Tommy, Mr. GG Autos, comes in. So Tommy, how are you doing, my friend?
Very well, mate. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. I've also noticed you've got a Race Wars shirt on. Have we got another Race Wars event coming up?
We have, yes.
Couple months. And the M3 Touring is going to be changed as well. We're going to have more sauce going on that, right?
Stage 2, yeah.
There we go. But today in front of us, we have my glorious M4 in the new Yokohama livery. And Tommy has been working his socks off with this car and knocked it out of the park, because the last time we did turbos, I did see a bit of blue smoke. We did the turbos anyway, because it's something I always wanted to do. And at 100,000 miles, it was a matter of when, as opposed to just doing it. They were always going to eventually start going, weren't they?
Yeah, so obviously it was, you know, you wanted to go down the stage 3 route. And then we had no history of the turbos ever being replaced.
Yep.
Obviously we knew, well, why this is back. We knew there was going to be an issue with valve stem seals.
Of course. So, you see Tommy's hands just then, because it did get a bit different. But if we just one by one, the valve stem seals, it's something that you're saying on BMWs happen on this engine anyway. It happens at
yeah, I mean,
mileage?
it can happen on any engine really, especially like a high performance engine like this where they get hot and they're high revving. The rubber seal just turns to basically like plastic.
And without being stupid, valve stem seals is something that's on the top part of the engine. Is there anything that needs to be removed?
Yeah, it's a lot
labour intensive.
For such a small part. It's a very like labour intensive job. Obviously all the top end cylinder drivetrain out, like all the camshafts, centric shaft, like basically everything has to come off to get access to the valve stem, valve springs to get to the valve stem seals to replace them with. Literally, that's 24 of these on every single valve.
Jeez Christ.
And that's all it is. And you just got a rubber seal here that just seals against the valve stem.
And that's what goes bad.
And then yeah, that rubber seal just goes hard like plastic and just stops sealing, and then you get oil passing the seal. And
so, stupid question, is there any way we can avoid that, or is it always going to happen at a certain time?
It's just inevitable really. It's going to happen.
High mileage, it's going to happen.
Yeah, it is just a combination of age, mileage, and heat cycles, and how it's used.
Took the turbos off, and from what we could see, the valve stems were wet, the exhaust ports were wet, and we knew that we were doing. So that was the plan. So Tommy had the car, and obviously, luckily, I was at work, but Tommy was at work, and he has filmed. So stay tuned for that. We're going to put more information, so that way, when you guys are doing this to your car, or getting Tommy to do it to your car, right?
Yeah, I was left to my own devices.
I was going to say,
so be kind.
You guys know exactly what he's getting up to, so that way you can know that he's not here just scratching his ass. There is a lot of work involved, so make sure you stay tuned in the video for that. But while Mr. GG Autos had that out, I believe you had to take out the eccentric shaft and the...
Yeah, so everything in the top end has to be stripped, including the eccentric shaft and the servo motor, and then we found at that miles, which, to be fair, I knew it would be. Yeah, the eccentric shaft gear was worn, and so was the worm gear on the motor, so it was just no-brainer really to replace it while it was all that. Usually, you'll know when the motor's faulty. You'll like when you unlock it or do an ignition cycle, you'll get like a woodpecker sound from under the bonnet.
Yep, I wasn't having that.
It's very prominent. No, you wasn't, to be fair, which is quite surprising. If that's all original, then then it's done really well. But it did have physical wear on the worm gear on the motor, and then the toothed part of the eccentric shaft.
See that.
Yeah, they were really worn out. So it was only a matter of time before you would have had Valvetronic fault codes and all that sort of stuff.
I'm going to clip to the part where Tommy is now taken over the camera, and we're going to see that little cutie pie face on camera. Enjoy. And now, before we go any further, I must shout out Gtechniq, who are the sponsor of this video. And I've recently picked up a new daily, so their DIY ceramic coating kit couldn't have come at a better time. And within the kit, you get a pair of gloves, a pipette, 2 applicators, the crystal serum light, and of course the lovely EXO V5. Now, crystal serum light is an absolute game changer because it can be used by amateurs just like me and you. Wipe it on the car, buff it off almost immediately, and you have a hard layer protecting your paint from chemicals and of course those nasty swells. 3 full drops of this, and then 1 panel at a time. And just for good measure, when you go across that way, I'd also go across this way. And next, with a clean microfiber cloth, you just want to wipe it off. And just like that, crystal serum light has been applied to the car, and I now have a hard layer protecting the paintwork. And the paintwork also now has this smooth slickness that wasn't there before. Now, the final pierre de resistance is this EXO V5, and this is the top layer which goes on top of the ceramic coating just applied, and it will give you around 18 to 24 months repelling dirt and anything that the weather can throw at it. Again, very easy to use. A few drops into the applicator and away you go. Straight lines, up and down. And just like that, the car has been coated with the crystal serum light and EXO V5. The paintwork is glossier and slicker than ever. Better than showroom new. If you are interested in getting your car nice and fresh, make sure you head down there in the description to get you one of these. Shout out to Gtechniq.
Going on, guys, so we've got Tim's M4 back in the workshop. So as you probably see from our last video, that when we done the turbos, that his valve stem seals are really badly leaking, which we sort of knew anyway before doing the turbos. So yeah, we've got it back in the workshop and we're gonna get stuck in and get the valve stem seals done. Just a brief rundown of the parts we've got for the car. So we've got 12 intake valve stem seals, we've got 12 exhaust valve stem seals, we've got the valve cover gasket, the valve cover gasket for the servo motor, we've got the main Teflon injector seals, the upper injector seals, timing chain tensioner seal, and then you've got the 3 gaskets for the injector slash coil housing surround. So yeah, there's not much to it. It's just a very labor intensive job. Right, so as you can see, we've got the complete top end stripped down there. All the cams, eccentric shaft, etc. Everything's all out, ready to access the valve stem seals, which are hiding under the valve springs. And there's 4 per cylinder times 6 is 24. So as you can see, we've got quite a few to get through, which is the tricky bit now. So we've got all 24 valve stem seals fitted now. It wasn't too bad, to be fair. The tool I've got is universal, but it did actually work pretty well. I was quite impressed with it, to be fair. So it did make life a lot easier. I had to improvise a little bit on the intake, but again, that worked out really well, so I'm happy with that. So yeah, we've just got the new eccentric shaft and motor now, so that can be replaced, as the original one, the gear on it was excessively worn, so it'd only be a matter of time before start having issues with the Valvetronic, like these always do anyway. So it's good practice to replace it all while it's all apart, but it is expensive. But you know, it's just one of them things that's got to be done. So, and if you're wondering where Tim is not actually here, so he's left me to my own devices to deal with the recording. So if it's a bit rubbish, you can blame me, don't blame Tim. So we've changed all 24 valve stem seals now, and as you can see, there's a rubber seal on the end which goes really hard and brittle, like plastic almost, and the job of these is to seal the engine oil from running down the valve stem seals, and then on the intake side that would get forced into the cylinder, and then on the exhaust side it gets forced out the exhaust port, hence why we had wet the exhaust ports when we had the turbos off in the previous video. And then yeah, it just burns the oil in the exhaust, or you know, if it's on the intake side, it gets combusted on the exhaust stroke. But yeah, so for all this stripping down, all this has to come out. Engine in pieces, timing chain off, literally just to change these seals, which are not expensive at all, but it's just very labour intensive. But you know, it's the nature of the beast with performance cars, where these engines run so hot, and you gotta remember this is a high mileage car as well, which seems to be the main factor on these now. Well, to be fair, it is mileage as well, sort of around 8 to 10 years, pushing on sort of 80,000 miles. The valve stem seals are failing in this fashion, unfortunately. So it's going to be a very common issue coming up now with these F-Series M cars and N55 engines, to be fair. So now we have got Tim's car all back together, complete, all the trims, everything's on, and we're ready for a start-up. It's the second start. I have warmed it up a little bit just to make sure everything was alright before the cameras were rolling. So yeah, everything spot on.
So yes guys, that has been the video here at GG Autos on the BMW M4. And if you have enjoyed the video, please make sure you give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and make sure you go over and check out this legend, GG Autos _Essex, over on Instagram to get your beauty, your pride and joy booked in. As always, have a great weekend, and I'll see all of your beautiful faces in the next one. Take care and God bless.